Assin Central MP Kennedy Agyapong is expected to face Parliament's Privileges Committee today as it holds public hearings into allegations of contempt against him. Mr. Agyapong is alleged to have described Parliament as useless and cheap for electing Osei Kyei-Mensah-Bonsu as leader. Mr. Agyapong failed to show up for a pre-sitting in-camera hearing last week, at which Minority Chief Whip Muntaka Mubarak was given the opportunity to substantiate his case. Well, later today, the Assin Central MP is expected to respond to the accusations against him at a public hearing. Andrew Mercer is Vice Chairperson of the committee.
You recall that last week we met as a committee and we sought to review the evidence that Honorable Muntaka had submitted to us. He submitted a video recording and also some internet printout. We reviewed it, listened to the tape, listened to him, and then of course made a determination that the allegations that were contained in the statements that were contained on there, if true, clearly would require some answers to be elicited from the contempt law, in this case Honorable Kennedy Agyapong. And so, of course, since it is an accusation that has been leveled against him by Honorable Muntaka, by way of his moving the motion on the floor of Parliament and the subsequent referral to the committee by the Speaker, for us to avail Mr. Agyapong the opportunity to listen to the accusation himself if he elects to be present, and also to ask questions if he so desires. And so my understanding is that we're going to have a public hearing today at which Mr. Muntaka will be given an opportunity to present his evidence under oath. The initial engagements that we had with him was not under oath, so we've not really taken evidence from him. So he's going to do that today, and Mr. Agyapong will be offered the opportunity to ask questions if he so wishes. And then based on the outcome of the inquiry, we as a committee will evaluate the evidence vis-a-vis the rules that we are working with, and then make our recommendations to the...
Right. You mentioned that Mr. Agyapong, Kennedy Agyapong, could elect to attend the hearing. Can he opt to stay away from the hearing?
Of course. I mean, he can choose not to attend. And then we would have to employ, to as it were, listen to the allegations and cross-examine Mr. Muntaka Mohammed is really his choice, you know. But as to answering to the committee, you cannot compel people to give evidence against themselves. That's a fundamental rule of law. And so he can say that, well, whatever evidence is before you, go ahead and evaluate it and make your recommendations. But of course, the opportunity ought to be offered him to appear, to answer some of the issues that have been leveled against him.
So, if I understand you right, the committee cannot force Mr. Agyapong to come before it to explain.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes.
But what's the implication of that if the accused is not brought before the committee?
Yeah, the implication clearly will be that he wouldn't have the opportunity to test the veracity or otherwise of the accusations that have been leveled against him.
In that case, what does the committee do?
Well, we'll go ahead and give it the weight that it deserves. Of course, if you are given an opportunity to, as it were, ask questions and you decline that invitation, we would then have to be, as it were, deal with the information as it is, and then evaluate it for the merits or demerits of it, and see where it is that the axe ought to fall, whether to believe or to disbelieve the information that has been put before us.
Now, Mr. Agyapong has been quoted as saying that this is a grand scheme to get him out of Parliament, to expel him out of the House. Is this possible? Is it possible that as an ultimate sanction, the MP can be expelled from the House?
Well, I don't know whether Well, I guess that this is a harmless one because, you know, I have, and it's appropriate that I don't speak to the merits of the issues before us because we're supposed to be independent arbiters, you know, and evaluating or conducting an investigation into this matter. But on the application of the rules, yes, the member of parliament may vacate his seat, if you like, per the Constitution, under, I believe, Article 97(1). Spells out the tenure of office of members of parliament. And I think 1D clearly provides that following some inquiry by the committee of parliament, by a committee of parliament, a member of parliament could be expelled from parliament. Yes.
So it is likely that, but what do you make of comments by the MP himself seeking to suggest that Parliament as an institution or the leadership is, you know, scheming to get him out of the House?
Well, unfortunately, I cannot comment on that because that clearly will be prejudicial. Indeed, I've not heard him say that. I have deliberately blocked my mind from any commentary on this subject matter, purely because of my role on as a member of the committee and vice chair of the committee for that matter. And so I've not heard him and cannot speak to that.
We'll bring you updates when the Member of Parliament appears before the Privileges Committee today. Business News is next here on JoyNews Desk.